11th Sunday of Christmas, Sharon shared with me a tea bag holder. Now this doesn't have to be for Christmas. Well, this one probably should be, given all the bling on it. But this is great to give to a friend who's feeling under the weather. You can just include a little tea bag with a get well note, or in this case, it's just a Merry Christmas, maybe a note that says, hey, let's get together over a cup of tea. Just something to let them know you're thinking of them. Sometimes, you know, we want to let the people in our lives know how much they mean to us, but we can't afford to do the big gestures. But, you know, time spent with a friend, or just say something that says, I'm thinking of you, that is worth a lot. So let's see how we make this. We are going to begin with a piece of crumb cake cardstock that measures 3.5 by 10.5 inches. Now I could bring in my simply scored board, but I'm not going to. I'm going to just use the scoring blade on my trimmer. I'm going to score at 3.5. And open it up, and I'm going to score at 7. The only thing you got to worry about is using your cutting blade. Don't use your cutting blade. That breaks this into 3 panels that are all 3.5 inches square. We want to cut off a diagonal on this end. Now, because we want this to fold over, and we want a pocket that runs this way, we need to cut off this from this point up here to the bottom point. I will put those points in my ditch. So there's one. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I can. So where the fold meets that score line, and then down here at the edge, I'm just going to put those in, line it up, and I'm going to cut that off. And so now you can see, oh, my blade is getting very, very dull. That's because I've been using it for work, cutting lots of paper. So we will fold that in. This piece then will also come over the top, and we have our little pocket. To create this pocket, we will just add in a little tear and tape. Tear and tape's nice and strong. I'll give a good hold. It's very easy to get off that backing. And we'll just come in here and fold that over. And you can see that, let's see, ginger snappy ginger tea fits right in there. Really, really kind of cute. And then we need something on the front, so of course we have to decorate it. Okay, we're going to bring in a piece of basic white that measures 3 inches by 3 inches. And I'm bringing in my Cottage Wreaths stamp set and mounting it on this block. We are not going to die cut, so I don't have to really pay attention to where the stamp is. I'm going to bring in my Evening Evergreen ink pad and ink it up. Now remember, this is a distinctive stamp set, which means that you're going to get a variation in the depth of color. Some greens will be darker than others. Trying to center it in here as best I can around the camera. And so, see, we have really a nice subtle green over here. Now, it looks like I'm a little bit closer to the edge here than down there. So what I will do is I'm going to put the bow down here. We will have a bow coming in just a minute. I'm going to go back in here and take off these pine needles. I'm going to mount those That's too small. Let's mount these. And we're going to put these in and around our wreath. So a lot of wreaths come with different kinds of greenery on them this time of year. You've got leafy and pine boughs and fir and all sorts of things. So we can just stamp that around there, and you can keep going to get it to be as full a look as you want. I'm just going back around now and filling in some of the gaps. And again, this is up to you. You could just leave it leafy if you wanted to. All right, there we go. Now, I do have another piece of 3x3 as well, and that's gonna go for the inside. And all I'm gonna do for that is, I think, stamp a little pattern at the top. And then I'll write my message to my friend underneath. We can use some holly. There's some holly leaves in there if we wanted to. We could put in some berries, but I'm going to use my basic red rhinestones to bling this up a little bit. And I'm also going to use my real red and white glimmer paper for the bow. Now you could certainly use just regular real red cardstock for the bow, but I'm going to die cut a bow and add this here. I'm using the Country Reeds die, and there are two bows here. There's this one, which cuts out the stamped image. And then there's this one that cuts out a bow shape with some accents in it. And so you can see I have here, and I don't know if you can tell, maybe, but you can see some of the lines. My phone doesn't like that. You can see some lines in here where it's really putting in the shape of the bow. So we're just going to put that. We can decide if we want it on the side too. No, I think I like it on the bottom. Or we call that the top. Oh yes, that's what I like the most. I'm going to bring in our glue dots. Remember, when you're using glue dots, you don't want to pick the glue dot up with your hand. You want to just stick your item to it and then take it off so that you're not touching the glue dot. That will allow it to stay as sticky as possible. Look at that bow. That bow is so, so pretty. I'm going to come in with my Take Your Pick tool, grab some of my red rhinestone basic jewels, and let's just put some berries on here. I like clumps of 3. But you can do whatever you want. You might even decide that that bow is enough by itself. It is pretty, it's a pretty strong element. And then I think I do want to put some up here just because it's going to look lopsided without it. There we go. What a pretty, pretty wreath. We could have also put on some diamonds, some of the clear rhinestones. Lots of options here. All right, let's take this and we'll attach it to our evening evergreen square. So we'll just, probably would have been smart to do this before the rhinestones. It's easier when you have a flat surface, but I managed through. And let's see. This is just a piece of evening evergreen that is 1/8 of an inch larger. So this is 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. Square that up there. Now this is going to get mounted to the front of the card. But before we do that, we want to put our ribbon through there. Well, actually, we can go ahead and put our dimensionals in the corners over here. And I will put one in the center, and that will theoretically hold the ribbon. I don't really need it to hold the ribbon because the ribbon is going to go under the layer. It's probably not going to escape. Take my ribbon here. And I need an amount to tie a bow. So that's probably, this is probably good right here. Yes, I am eyeballing it because, well, why not? Scissors. There we go. I would say that's probably 18 inches or so, maybe 20. I love this evening evergreen open weave ribbon. Oh, I can't tie it yet, right? Yeah, I can't tie it because I've got more work to do on the inside. Let's go ahead here and figure out where this is gonna go. All right, and that is being held down there. So on this inside now, we will just take this piece, and if you want another piece of evening evergreen, which I think we do, we can add that. So here I have another piece. I have to decide if I want, I think I do want that across the top. I also want to stamp something else. Let's bring out our cottage reeds again, and we're gonna stamp Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas right here. It's just a tiny little guy. And we'll get a block out. This block is way bigger than it needs to be, but that's all right. We will get our real red stamp pad out. We're just gonna have a little tiny Merry Christmas right there. And that's good enough because we do want a little bit of room to write a sentiment. There's not much room, just enough. Let's go ahead and mount this. An 1/8 of an inch border is one of my favorites. It just gives a little bit of definition. That's good. And then we will mount this right here. You can write something before we send it. And then we will pop in our tea bag. Now I found these tea bags at Christmas tree shop, I think. And so I had peppermint bark and ginger snappish. So one's a minty chocolate tea, herbal tea, and one's a snappy ginger tea with lemon. I'm going to use the ginger tea with lemon. I also like how the gingerbread kind of goes with this over here. And so then we would just tie it closed. You know how much I love tying bows on camera, but I think this time we're gonna do all right. I'm not gonna trim my ends here because I have not written in it yet, but there is our cute little gift. We could have put the Merry Christmas in the center here if we wanted to, or we can just leave it as it is. And that is your 11th Sunday of Christmas.